welcome back to Emma Russell Studio. I am Emma, and today we are going to be diving into how to create peonies in a loose style, adding lots of water and really having a fun time playing around with that and different opacities. So let's grab our paper and our pencils and let's get started. So to start off, make sure you have your paper, your paints, and your brushes. For paper, I'm using my Arches cold press watercolor paper. This is my favorite one. Your work definitely shows up a lot better on this versus ones like even Strathmore or Canson. But if you are starting out, those are fine to use, but you will see as you grow and learn that you might want to invest in a higher quality paper. It really does make a difference. And we're going to use 3 brushes. I use the Princeton Heritage series. You can really use whichever ones you have. These are just a personal preference and I like the shape of them. So for some little details, we're going to be using the size 3 round brush. For our bigger petals of our peonies, the size 12 filbert. This is the one that is a blooms brush that Jenna collaborated with Princeton Heritage. So it's not just a Princeton Heritage. And then the size 10 round brush. If you have a 6 though, or one like in between these two, the small one and big one, that's fine too. And I have my little color chart pulled out here just to reference. If you want to learn how to make a color chart, I can actually link that video below. You can find it there. If you would like to learn how to actually do it, I find that can be very helpful. We are going to dive into our peonies. We're going to have some water on our brush and we're going to use our filbert to start. So I want you to get your brush nice and wet, and we are going to be using more of a pink color. So I have some rose here on my palette. Any form of red will do, but if you have rose, I am going to mix it with a little bit of my alizarin crimson. I like that combination. And I actually have it, rose is more like this, and alizarin crimson is a little bit darker, just a little bit, but I think they blend really nicely together. So get your brush nice and wet, and we are going to be creating our peonies. So a peony has that center that we're kind of gonna leave as a gap, and you have this really fun petal. So we're just going to kind of swoop in there on the one side and the other side to create a petal, and we're gonna have our flower going in this direction. It's blooming, it's opening, so you're gonna want to put another little one there, then kind of follow it around, leave some white space, and use that part of your brush as it's angled to just really like get in there. So do over here. And just to clarify, as you are doing these loose florals, loose in the style of watercolor does mean it is more abstract, less realistic, but it does not mean you need to hold the brush any looser. If you do, you will let go of the brush. You might not be holding a very firm grip, you know, you're getting more gentle, but you're not like going like this. You have to hold the brush. So in case anyone is confused, that is what you do. I'm gonna get one up here. We're gonna kind of put those centers, the stamen there of the flower once this dries in the center, but right now we're just gonna go like this. And then after the petals, I'm gonna be showing you more of like how we use more water and just kind of play around with it. So it's gonna be really fun. So maybe add some more water to your brush. And let's get one going down this way. So you got press and lift. I love the filbert brush because the shape of the brush basically gives you your petal just from laying it on the paper. Now, the key to like making this good flower is really the direction of how you're holding your brush. So I'm gonna hold it this way. If you don't add variety to your petal arrangement, your composition is gonna look really boring. And if you don't add white space, it will also be boring. So that is really what makes the difference. You could have a great brush, but if you don't know how to use it, it's pointless. So we are learning how to use it. And now I want you to just play around with water. This is the fun part. We are going to make a stem, but just with water. So I want you to just swoop down. You might have a little color on this. which is fine, but try to get as much color as you can off. And then we're gonna go in with our sap green. So I finally got a new tube of my sap green. I have used the same tube for 2 years. Watercolor paint literally lasts forever. So typically I would let that dry, but it is really fun to use wet as well if you want to like try that out for the first time. And we're just going to put our brush straight up and down like this and just dab it right there in the stem that we already added water. And then I want you to dab it some more. Just go until it's pretty much like filling up the entire stem. So this is a fun way that you can play with the water. And now I want you to, without rinsing or doing anything with your brush, take that and you're going to press and lift out and form these really fun loose leaves. Maybe have one come down here and over there. So there we have some fun leaves, and all we did was use water and add a little bit of pigment and kind of flick that outwards. So here is our first peony. So let's do another one. Also going this way, also opening, but make sure you rinse out your brush really well. We don't want a green peony. So rinse, rinse, rinse. And then dry it a little bit before you dip into your color if it's as watery as mine, because you don't need more than that water on your brush. And we're gonna go over here. We're going to start here from the middle and kind of curve up like that. And then curve the other way. Gonna add one over here. Have a little one going over here to the side. We're gonna have one come up like that. So you're still at this 45-degree angle, right? You don't want to be laying all the way flat. You're not going to get that good swoop in. So curve. For me, I found sometimes it's easier when you stand up. That can help a lot with your, put another one kind of going this way. Get some more pigment. Okay, and we're gonna do that again. So we have these petals going down. We're gonna have our stem coming this way. So rinse your brush off. Oops. Make sure though it is nice and wet. And from here, we're just gonna have this line. We're gonna go all the way down. Dry your brush a little, dip into your sap green. It helps the less water you have and more pigment for this. And just gonna plop our brush. Sometimes you can drag it a little if you want the pigment to go further and you feel like there's not as much water. And now let's just add some more variety to our petals. So let's grab a little Payne's Gray. That's my favorite one to mix with the sap green and create this emeraldy color. Just gonna kind of flick our petals, or leaves, I mean. Just kind of get them going this way. Have one here. Sometimes you can pull out a stem and then just go from there and just really get those different lines in. Maybe dry your brush off a little bit more. Add some little parts of the stem. Maybe we'll put one more leaf over here. So make sure you angle and then flick. So there is another peony, and we're gonna put one more right here. Just gonna make a little cluster. We're really just practicing this, experimenting with the water. It's not really any strict form of composition. This is a great time to play, to learn, to experiment, to try this little water moving technique, as I like to call it. And yeah, just play around and have fun. So make sure there's a lot of water on your brush again. Maybe tap the excess on your cup. And center's right here. And this one, we're gonna just bring out a bunch. We're gonna put some little petals here. Let's like work towards from the middle first. So we have some here and they're just kind of going out. And then we're gonna bring some bigger ones over here. So just try to leave white space as much as you can between your different petals and just pull that pigment out as you curve your brush. Some go down here, one here, and maybe a little bit more there. Kind of just create these little fluffy petals, and you can go in and fix any up, and we're gonna let that hang out a bit and dry. As that dries, this is pretty dry over here, so we're gonna go in with our size 3 round brush, get it nice and wet, and we're just grabbing some black. So I have Mars black or lamp eye black. You can use whatever form of black, and just watch your petals. If any of your paint is wet, just gonna hover over and just create these little lines that kind of come out. So really just like flicking your hand a little bit, not adding a ton of pressure. It's okay if it blends in, because it almost helps us form these little bits of pollen that are at the end of the middle, and we're just making the centers of the flower. We're gonna do that over here. We're gonna kind of curve out a little bit. See how it just creates those little dots as it is hitting a little bit of the water. And that pretty much does the work for us. It's actually really fun to do that. And you can even go in at this point, rinse your brush really well first, and you can add just like some hints of some darker red or pink. You can just really just add to your peony petals that you already created. Just add some depth and contrast to the flower. Maybe just redefine that. All right, and then let's do this one here. A little trick is to blot it a little bit with a paper towel. A napkin, you can also use a hair dryer if you don't want to like really disrupt the color, but for the sake of this exercise, it's okay. If you want to wait and dry, you can pause this video, come back to it. It's totally up to you. So just get a lot of black on your brush, a little bit less water, and you're just going to, again, make your little tiny stems. You could even go a little bit thinner and get a thinner brush if you have one. But if you don't use a lot of pressure, you are fine with using the size 3. Add the little dots. And get that in there. I want to add a little bit more green to my stem. So if you would like to now, go ahead and do that. I want to just make it a little bit darker over here. And then that is how you kind of play around with the water to help you as you create these loose peonies. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day. I will see you next time. Bye.